Welcome to LifeLine, brought to you by Centers for Spiritual Living, Temple of Light in Kingston, Jamaica. I'm Reverend Michelle Senegal, and we have an amazing guest this evening. We have the Reverend Dr. Sonny Cantrell Smith, our community spiritual leader for all of Centers for Spiritual Living, excuse me. So I am going to open up with a affirmative prayer, and then we will begin our conversation because that's all it is a conversation. Welcome to you, Reverend Sonny. So let's go within. And what I'm knowing is that God is everything. God is my life. And it's from that place of my awareness that I live and move and have my being. And I'm giving thanks today for this convening of Lifeline. I'm declaring that it meets needs, it answers questions, it raises questions, and folks leave revitalized, enthusiastic, and curious about what is theirs to do in helping the movement create a world that works for all. So I release my word now with a heart that's grateful and thankful that our guest said yes. And I'm giving thanks for the technological support and everyone who decided to chime in today. So I send it forward unto the law, knowing that it returns not void, and we will have an exciting, stimulating dialogue that meets the needs of all who attend. And we let it be so now, and so it is.
So it is.
Yes. So welcome everyone, and I would like to give a little bit of background about our community spiritual leader, but you'll get to know more about her as the conversation unfolds. But we need to give her due. She has accomplished a lot. She is the founding minister of Ahava CSL, Lexington, Kentucky. She recently retired from there, but it still is flourishing under the leadership of her new minister, who co-ministered with her for a number of years. She graduated from the Holmes Institute in 2006, and she attended the Agape campus under the leadership of Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith. She was ordained in 2011, and she served on the Centers for Spiritual Living's Minister Council for 6 years. Now she has risen to the position of community spiritual leader. So welcome, Reverend Dr., which is new, you all, so we should congratulate her. Go into your reactions if you can and send some love her way. I will definitely do that myself as soon as I can because it happened at our convention in February where she received her doctorate. All right, I can't find my reaction. So, I'm sending you light and I'm sending you love. So let's go ahead and get started. And as I said, it's conversational. But what I also know, it's going to be very. So Steve found his reaction. Yay, you got a heart there.
Yay,
Appreciate
Steve.
you, Steve. So it's going to be very conversational, and we'll be fielding questions. And so we'll use Vance and Steve to help us out with that as information is put into the chat on YouTube Live. So my first question is, well, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? What is one of your most significant accomplishments as spiritual leader thus far?
Oh, the most significant accomplishment. Well, let me think about that. First of all, before I answer that question, thank you so much for inviting me, Michelle,
Oh, absolutely.
to be here with you and to have a conversation. I would say that let me back up a little bit and talk about the direction of Centers for Spiritual Living. I think that we've been through so much in the last few years, with the pandemic. A lot of our communities had to pivot, to really survive that era. So I think when I was elected in 2022, what was really being called forth was a healing for our organization. So I would say that, along with the executive team, we set an intention for a healing for this organization. And that's still happening, of course. But one of the things that I really wanted to do was to really look at how we can advance the organization and where we're going to go. Because the truth is, I don't think we knew where we were going to go as an organization. And I think we're still finding out. We're still on that path of discovery right now. But one of the things that we started was sacred activism. And sacred activism is it intertwines with the ethos, I guess, of the unstatus quo for Centers for Spiritual Living. So one of the things that we just did, as a matter of fact, and let me back up and say that under the Sacred Activism Committee, it started as a task force. And we asked the question, how can we support sacred activism in our organization? It turned into a committee, and what we did was put under the sacred activism umbrella, it's an umbrella, we put DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. We put SMSE, spiritually motivated, socially engaged, ministry of prayer, global outreach, heart of peace, and I'm looking to also maybe put youth and family under there as well. So one of the things that we just did together, all of those chairs of each one of those committees is now on sacred activism.
Okay.
One of the things we really wanted to accomplish is not working in silos. And what I mean by that is one committee would be doing one thing, another committee would be doing something else. And we never really had that cohesive interaction between all of the committees. And so with the chairs underneath sacred activism, we now can plan different events. We can plan different webinars, statements that come out from SMSE, what we're going to do with global outreach, and how we use ministry of prayer and heart of peace. We're all working in the same direction. A beautiful example of that is Earth Day, which was on Monday. But DEI kicked off Earth Day on Saturday morning by having a panel on climate change. One of our guests was a woman from the New York office for Green Faith, which is is an organization that we have ties to, that we support. We feel like their mission is, coincides with our mission. We work together. And so that was a beautiful example of DEI kicking off Earth Day. Then after that, on the Global Outreach Committee made a video which went out on Monday on the actual Earth Day, and it was a video of all the things that are happening around the world and all the things that people are doing to support the healing of the planet. So that happened. We Heart of Peace was on Facebook, and they would every 2 hours do a meditation and prayer work around the clock, basically, for Earth Day. And then Ministry of Prayer, we had a prayer-a-thon, which included slides that talked about the different elements that are important to our Earth, air, sky, the earth, water. We had food as well, all of the elements. And with each segment, if we were talking about water, for example, we would have slides that talked about what's happening with water on our planet and what we can do. For example, never buy bottled water again. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
So we gave examples of how we could support with just little things that we could do to help heal our planet. Then we would have prayer and then music. And some of our music was live, some of it was recorded. And we had prayer in, I think it was 5 different languages.
Nice.
So that this is a beautiful example of coming together to work together for a purpose. So I think that that's probably one of my, for me, my most exciting projects. And, it's been along with the executive team because we set an intention and we've been really following that intention. And that intention is to uplift and expand and evolve Centers for Spiritual Living. And this seems to be what's being called for. The healing of our organization, the healing of the planet, the healing of racism, the healing of transphobia. And I mean, there's so much.
Yes.
So we're doing that. And another thing that I really love is something I started personally, which was Tune In Tuesdays. And on the first Tuesday of each month, it's for the field, it's for the members, it's for people who want to discover what Centers for Spiritual Living is. It's for ministers and practitioners. And it is basically a listening circle. So one of the things I say is this is not about fixing or having an agenda. This is about listening to what is going on in the field. And I will pose a question. And then people will respond to that question. The last question I asked, and we had, I think we had over 80 people on that Tune In Tuesday, was, are we relevant? Do you believe that we are relevant?
Wow. Wow.
And
That's a
so
powerful question.
it was a powerful question, and it was it was powerful responses from all over. So that too, personally, I think is one of something that we really need to listen to each other.
Yeah.
We need to listen to what's going on and how we can support one another through all the changes to really uplift and expand all of our communities by working together.
Absolutely. So I'm really glad that you mentioned the Tune In Tuesdays and that it's member oriented and member centric. So all of you members who are listening, tune in on Tuesdays, and I'll make sure we start advertising that this happens so that you all can feel that sense of belonging to something bigger than just our individual center here in Kingston, Jamaica. So thank you for that. And one of the other things that I observed, and this was at the conventions more so than anything else, is believe one of your favorite words is collaboration. Is that true?
That's true. That's yes, I really believe in collaboration.
So has that become one of our corporate values? Is it working its way into becoming a corporate value, or has it always been there? It just seems to me that at this last convention, it was highlighted and spotlighted quite a lot.
I think that it is indeed working its way into our organization. And we talk about shared leadership a lot. And shared leadership is also about trust. And it's about trusting that I've got you, and I trust you to take care of what we are organizing together or planning together. And so part of all of that is building trust. And I think
Right.
that trust is built through collaboration. Because let's face it, we all don't think alike. We all
Right.
have our our ways of doing things, as my mother would say. You seem to have your way, and I got mine. We have our ways of doing things, and it's about I respect what you're saying, what you're doing, and I trust you. And so, how can we come together and collaborate and make this a far greater expansion than we thought possible? So
Absolutely.
Charleston was amazing, in my opinion.
Hmm.
It was
Yes.
intentional when
Hmm.
we found out that you know when the field found out that we were going to Charleston, there was a lot of concern because Charleston, well, South Carolina in general, has some of the most restrictive voting laws for African Americans, especially in the United States. Plus the initiatives and some of the legislation that they are proposing against transgender individuals and the LGBTQ community in general is it, I mean, it's very harsh. And so
Yes.
what I did was put a Charleston task force together because I didn't want to make this decision on whether we should go or not, we
Right.
should cancel it.
Yeah.
So I put a task force together of the individuals that these laws directly affect.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I asked the question, do you want to go? How do
Hmm.
you feel about it? And everybody on that task force unanimously said, we're going and we're going as a force of love. And so from that point on, we began to vision and ask the question, how can we engage the city? How can we engage those individuals? How can we support the African American community? How can we support the transgender community, the LGBTQ community? And so we went in intentionally as a force of love. And I think that that really showed up at the convention, the support and the love that we had for that community. It's been my desire and my intention again to not just go and have a convention, but to leave a footprint of love. That
Yes.
we're here and we want to love on you and we want to support you, and how can we do that? And it's about asking the question, how can we support you,
Right.
without our own ideas? And that's where collaboration comes in again. Collaborating with the city, the opening ceremony with I don't recall her name right now, from the African American Museum that was
Hmm.
just recently opened, who welcomed us to her city. I mean, it was intentional from that all the way through.
Awesome. Awesome. So thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned that you put out on your Tune In Tuesday the question about, is CSL relevant? What responses did you get? You said they were very powerful responses, and I'm being organic here, meaning
Yeah,
I'm feeding off of what you're sharing.
right. Well, let me tell you, before I answer that question, let me just share with you that on Tune In Tuesdays, I record that, but I'm the only one who listens to it. So, and that's to honor the sacredness
My
of,
goodness. Yes.
yes. But
Mhm.
what happens is it tells me where we need to go as an organization.
So
Because people,
what are your takeaways then?
yes, exactly.
Mhm.
I got a lot of very interesting responses. Some thought that we were very relevant. Some people didn't think we were being relevant. Some people thought that we were moving way too fast with sacred activism, and some people thought we're moving way too slow. You
slow.
know, I mean, all of that. I would
Mm-hmm.
say for the most part, most individuals think that science of mind and the teachings philosophy of science of mind are very relevant. The problem or the challenge is that getting that relevancy out into the world. So, how do we do that? How do we get science of mind into the world? You know, I'll share with you that I met a couple of, been about 3 or 4 months ago now, with a group of individuals in Africa. And Africa, as you know, is a huge continent.
Yes.
I think it was about maybe 12 people, something like that. Our the individuals that I met with who are studying science of mind are determined and have set an intention to have 1 million people in 7 years studying the science of mind on the continent of Africa.
Wow.
I think they can do it.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the kind of, I can't even imagine. It's like,
Change that would bring about.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the
Yeah.
relevancy comes in. We
Mm-hmm.
can get it
Mm-hmm.
there and start practicing it and using it the way it was intended to be used. I we think we could change the world. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's not just happening within Centers for Spiritual Living, and it's happening in all denominations in terms of congregation sizes shrinking,
Mhm.
church attendance on the decline. And so, what is your vision around perpetuating the teaching and the philosophy? The not only the vision but the strategy. How do we remain relevant going forward?
That's a great question. I'm just going to close my blind here because I'm getting some
Yeah.
sun, if you don't mind.
No, that's fine. And it's
Yeah,
getting dark here.
yeah, right. Um, so here's one of the things that I've been talking about with um, with groups of people, with groups of communities, online communities, brick and mortar communities. One of the things that I think that we don't take advantage of is
Mhm.
working together to capture our resources together. So what do
Mhm.
I mean by that? Well, you know, how many centers do we have in the San Francisco, Oakland area alone?
A lot.
A lot. We have a group in New Jersey. We have in Southern California, I mean, there's groupings of centers all over. And uh, as a matter of fact, in Las Vegas, I think we have 2 or 3.
Yeah, we
Um,
have two at least.
yeah. So what would happen if if they were to pool their resources and do an amazing advertising campaign?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
what I mean by that is, suppose you put up a billboard that said, I'm just going to riff off this for a minute. What if you put
Yeah.
up a billboard that said, church is the last place you should experience hell? CSL.org.
Right,
Find a
right.
center near you. You know what I'm
You.
saying?
Hmm.
You pool your resources to, share the cost. You pool your resources so that different classes are open to all. And one center is teaching this one, and you're sharing the money, or you're sharing the financial ties, or, I mean, there are ways we talk about sharing with other spiritual communities like
Right.
unity,
Yes.
or, uh, and certainly we can do that. When I was the 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 senior minister at Ahava. By the way, Ahava is the Hebrew word for love. When I was
Ah, beautiful.
Yeah, when I was the senior minister there, I would I was into interfaith a lot. I would go out to lunch once a month with the one of the local rabbis. I mean, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
a no-brainer. But what
Mm-hmm.
about sharing our resources with each other? What
Yes.
about coming
Yes.
from there first to help support, all of the some of the shrinking or the
Mm-hmm.
new expansion, I want to say, of our centers,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
because
a great
we're
idea.
expanding. We're expanding.
Mm.
We're not shrinking. We're expanding. We're just
And so,
expanding in new and different ways.
right. And so currently, where is the majority of our growth happening worldwide? Is it South America still? Because we had a
Yep, South
lot of growth
America.
going there.
Yes, South America is exploding. I
Yes.
think we're going to see significant numbers in Africa. Um, Also, I mean, some of the larger centers are coming back. Mile High is
Mm-hmm.
exploding.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the Portland area, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah.
Yeah, great, great. So somebody put in the chat that said spiritual Centers for Spiritual Living is already worldwide. We're in certain countries within the world. There are many countries that we have not penetrated as yet. So global growth and development is still an opportunity for us. And so we
Absolutely.
have 1 million Africans studying the science of mind. What a great intention.
Isn't it?
That that was put in the chat as well. Yes, yes, yes. So right now we in Africa we've got Kenya, we've got Ghana, we've got South Africa. Um,
We're in
any other place?
Nigeria. We've
We're in
got
Nigeria as well.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, okay, that's great. Well, I actually years ago went to South Africa, and at that time they didn't even have a minister; they just had a practitioner. Um, So I'm so glad to see that it continued and that practitioner went on to become a minister. And I
Mm-hmm.
also I also visited Russia but we were
Mm-hmm.
there as a educational institution. And so sometimes we show up in other countries as well, but as educational institutions just because of like in Russia it was about, communism. And
Mm-hmm.
so we couldn't be a center for spiritual living, but we were an educational institute there. So
Uh-huh.
it does happen in many ways.
Well, you got to remember that we have a lot of individuals in the Ukraine,
Yes, I
and
know.
so they're lying low right now. I
Yeah,
mean, it's
yeah, they
but
have to.
yeah, they have to. I mean, we
Mhm,
have,
mhm.
my gosh, I don't know how many practitioners we have in Ukraine. They were expanding like wildfire there, so
Yeah.
I expect that will pick up again, hopefully in the next couple of years.
Yeah, so we just have to pray and affirm and know you all that the war ends and again our philosophy emerges to help people to transition into the potential that they have of becoming, which is being dwarfed right now because of
Hmm.
all of the conflict in the area. Yeah. So go ahead. You were
No,
going to
I
say
was just
something.
going to say that, a lot of feedback that I get, um, you know, from some, like I said, there are some that think we're moving too fast, we're moving in the wrong direction. some people were moving too slow or moving in the right direction. I was gonna share with you that, sacred activism is not about a political arena, but it also is political. And, if we study the science of mind, and if we study our mission and our vision for Centers for Spiritual Living, it is our duty to stand for um, the rights of people, the rights of individuals, to stand for the healing of the planet. And so, but we also need prayer. And so for those who say, I just want to pray, okay, we need you to pray. For those who say, I just want to teach science of mind, we need you to teach science of mind. And for those who, go out to the capitals and march in the streets, we need you too. We
Absolutely.
need it all. We need it all. So, that's the other collaboration part. Let's all work together and create something extraordinary. We're the ones to do this.
Yeah, yeah. So talk to us now about, say, members
Love
and
them.
what oh, you got to have them. And
Mhm.
so what do you see as a role of members? These are non-ministers, non-practitioners, in helping to expand and perpetuate this teaching. How might that unfold?
The members' council is asking the same thing.
Mm, mm,
Hmm.
okay.
So I just had a meeting with a couple of regions, RSC regional coordinators, and one of the things that I talked about is the member council has brochures on members and on our organization. I'm asking communities to promote members and to, it's like anything else. If you don't have the information, awareness is key.
Yes.
To make their communities aware that there's a bigger organization out there and that we can use the help of the members. Now, I know several individuals from Ahava went to Charleston. They'd never been to a convention before. They were absolutely blown away and wanted to know more and more and more and more. And they are on fire right now with our organization. How can we volunteer? What can we do? We've got to do it from the level of our communities to invite members to really, to expand their knowledge of who CSL is and how they can become involved. One of the best tools that we have right now is our living spiritual circles
Yes. Yes.
that are designed around our Science of Mind magazine. And anybody can start one. You just have to fill out the application with Centers for Spiritual Living. You can start inviting your members, and it's a discussion. You have a discussion group, and this way, members not only get the opportunity to ask questions, but they also get the opportunity to participate with their own value, their own opinions, their own thoughts, because we have one of the things that we really need to look at is to stop looking at the top down. It has to be from the down.
From the bottom up.
Yes, exactly. The members should be at the top.
Yes.
And so I'm really encouraging with my meetings and having meetings with different communities and regions and RSCs to really talk about promoting our members and reminding them how valuable they are and important they are to our organization, and how much we want them to belong at a greater, a more expansive role, in a more expansive role. Does that help?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Yes. And I've been emphasizing at Temple of Light that we are a member-centric community just for that reason, to empower the membership more, to enable them to step up more. And the reason I invited you here today, and I've been having the guests that I've been having, so that members can see where they can get in, where they can fit in,
Yeah.
and be a part of something that is bigger, that goes beyond our center, so that we can be a part of ushering in the solutions of creating a world that works for all. All of us can do that. And so it's interesting that you brought up the idea about the spiritual circles, because I'm not going to give names because I don't want to steal anybody's thunder, but our first spiritual circle will be convening very, very soon in the beautiful state of Florida. So a member is starting it, but is being supported by a practitioner. So it's happening, because I really do see that that's how many movements get started, in people's living rooms, just having a conversation. I mean, that's where Agape got started.
That's where Ahava got started.
Right. In people's living rooms. And then look what they have grown into and what they have become. And so that is a way of, you may have the volume, the size of the spiritual circle may be small, but you have volume because you can duplicate and replicate these circles all over the world. And so that's a part of what I see as a way to keep us relevant and to keep us growing.
Exactly.
So thank
it's a wonderful tool. Wonderful.
So let me ask you this. I asked a question about members, but what about our practitioners and our ministers? What might be the role that they play in perpetuating this teaching and expanding this teaching?
Well, first of all, we underutilize our practitioners. Let me just say that right now. I think that we need, and we're going in that. I believe that we're going in that direction. Is creating a path for practitioners. What I see a lot is practitioners become practitioners, and now what? They don't know what to do. I mean, they pray on Sunday, or they're in service at their local community, whether it's a teaching chapter or a center on, focus ministry or brick and mortar. But what I've noticed is there's a real hunger for a path, like some may want to be spiritual coaches. Some may want to be teachers. They want to have a teaching ministry within their center or within their community. Some may want an animal ministry, or some may choose to take the pastoral care. And I think that it's really important that we provide education and training for different paths, so that our practitioners can become outreach practitioners, and they can also have their own ministries. Very often I hear a lot that ministers and practitioners don't seem to gel, and there's turnover. Now, I know that during COVID, there were a lot of practitioners that took leave of absence, and now are just now beginning to really start to come back. So, there was a lot of thought process that went on during COVID when we were isolated. And I think people, not just practitioners, but ministers as well, and the general public were reevaluating our 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 course, our intention in life, and where do we want to go? Who do we want to be? People leaving their jobs and starting whole new careers and everything. So I think it's really important that that we're able to support our practitioners in a path that they really desire and want. Because as well as I do, if you do something you love, you're going to get on fire.
Oh, yeah.
And we also need outreach practitioners that can go out into interfaith, can go out into the communities, the larger communities, and find a path like green faith, or a lot of practitioners are talking about the environment, and they really want to support the environment, and how can they help that. So if we give them the tools, I think that that's another way that CSL will expand. As far as ministers go, I really think that this is going to sound a little, this may not be popular.
Okay. So you're going to be irreverent, Reverend?
Yeah. I think that we really need to take a good long look at how we can support our ministers in training. When I met with the retired ministers committee, they're a joy. They asked me how they could help, and one of the things I said is I would love to see a program start where our retired ministers are mentoring our ministerial students while they're in school, not when they get out, to teach them how to build a foundation that is solid and lasting for whatever ministry they're choosing to have in their lives. Starting a community is not about picking up a pulpit and speaking and expecting everything to happen. There's so many things that, I'm a spiritual realist. I believe in the marriage of humanity and the spirituality. And there are certain things that we have to do to really build that foundation, not only consciously, but physically and mentally, and pulling people together to, get them excited about a new ministry. So I think that, we need to start in the beginning, in the school of ministry. How can we support them, and really understanding when they graduate to have a clearer, more solid understanding of what it takes to build a community. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I'll probably be doing a follow-up call to you because in my capacity on the Ministers' Council, right now I'm developing a survey because we want to really help create a training program for the licentiate ministers who are on the path to ordination. They need sponsors, like you're saying, they need mentors. And so I'm so glad that we did have this conversation, because you put the idea in my mind, we need to tap some of the retired ministers to serve in those capacities. And so we want to put together training for the sponsors and mentors, as you're suggesting, so that when the ministers are ordained, they have a very solid footing and they know exactly where they're going and how to go about it. So I'll be following up with you on that one. I also wanted to speak to the fact that CSL is starting to develop more training, such as the grief support training and certification process that was just completed this time around, because that is not training that we received as practitioners, not not when I became a practitioner
Right,
in the
me either.
90s. In the 90s, I actually did that training on my own because there was a need. However, now we are offering that. And so, what I want to say to practitioners, if there are any practitioners in the audience, as I've said before, there is so much more that you can do from personal experience. We didn't call them spiritual circles, but it was a spiritual circle in Maryland. When I first arrived in Maryland, there was nothing there. There were no churches. So I
Right.
started a spiritual circle, ran it for 3 years, and then it folded into the Spiritual Empowerment Center, where I ended up going as the minister there. As a practitioner, I did that. And so what I'm saying, practitioners, you are empowered to do so much more. So if you have a vision, see it, own it, do it. Step up, step
You
out,
are,
because
yes,
the
yes,
world needs it.
absolutely. You are valuable and you have a gift to give, and it's waiting for you to be unwrapped. So, and I support you in that. Any practitioner that is really wants to get out in the world and whatever it may be. I'm so grateful we have a chaplaincy program at Center for
Yes, I was going to
Spiritual
mention
Living
that
now.
as well.
Yes,
Mm-hmm,
yes.
mm-hmm. And we also have that. So there are some paths that are being established to take the practitioner beyond just the practitioner training. So just letting you all know that. What I'd like to do now is see if there are any questions in the chat that we can put forth so that our Reverend Dr. Sunny Cantrell can answer for us. Are there any? I need some help. Who's helping me with chat activity?
Right. There's a question from Reverend Anne. She's asking, will CSL be able to have continuing education for both practitioners and ministers?
Yes. Working on it right now.
And last I checked, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. However, if you are a minister, you can enroll in some of the courses that are being offered by the Holmes
Yes.
Institute. So
Yes.
that is an example of how ministers can continue their ongoing education, and that already exists.
And one of the other things that we want to do is really start creating curriculum for lifelong learning. We're beginning to do that, and that's about navigating different areas of your life that you're living every day. How can you navigate certain things in your life? So that's another thing that we really want to start emphasizing with our education.
Absolutely. Practical life skills that will serve people, in all the various aspects of life. So we have to stay relevant. And that's one way that we do it, is continuing to grow our educational resources that meet the needs of people right now where they are.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Are there any other questions out there? Oh, we just have a comment about loving the spiritual circle. So you can do that right here in Kingston, Jamaica, right in your own living room. You can invite friends over and start having spiritual circles. It may grow into something else, or maybe they fold into something that already exists, like the Temple of Light. Maybe not. Maybe they stay separate. The important thing is that the teaching is being perpetuated, and it is being introduced, and individuals in all walks of life are being exposed to it, because we all know how it has impacted our lives in very powerful ways. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here, right? So we shouldn't keep it a secret. We definitely should be sharing it with other people. Anything else that anyone wants to know while we have our esteemed guest here? She sits at the highest level of the organization. She's got a panoramic view of all of our centers and teaching chapters. Any questions like that? What's a teaching chapter? What's a focus ministry? If you have any of those questions, we can entertain those as well. So I'm going to pause to allow people to get in. Reverend Sunny.
So Robert Mitchell, there's a question. They say, yes, practitioners are moving forward. And with these different pathways, will there be any support provided by CSL for these trainings?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. And, you know, this is some of the what I'm talking about right now is in development right now, and so there will be beta testing, you know, how what is needed. You know, every time you come down the path with a new class or a new training or whatever you're doing, you really need to test the waters before you put all of it together and in action. So support is one of those. How are we going to support the training? How are we going to support individuals? And you know, is it mentorship? Is it, you know, how does that look? So you're asking the right questions.
Yes, the support will definitely be there. So before we ask Reverend Sunny to do our closing prayer, I just wanted to remind you all, and I've got to get to the slide presentation, remind you all of what's coming up at our center. So let me share my screen. Second. So, of course, as you all know, we are there for you. Confidential prayer support, go to prayer.templeoflightcsl.org, and those prayer requests come directly to me. So don't have a problem that you can't solve. Get some guidance and some support. On May 4th and 18th, you've got questions, we've got answers. So far, we have 4 attorneys who practice in different capacities to answer your legal questions. And we really want the larger community to come as well. Spiritual healing service happens every Tuesday. The next one is going to be powered by one of our practitioners, Tamu Davidson. So please join her. This is how we pray. An experiential workshop happening on May 11th from 10 to 4. I will be your facilitator. It is not an intellectual experience. It is an experiential experience. So I encourage you all to please come and experience the 5 steps of treatment. And with that, I'm going to ask if you would demonstrate the 5 steps of treatment, please, Reverend Dr. Sunny Cantrell Smith.
You bet. Thank you for the invitation to pray.
Mhm.
I'm going to invite us all just to take a nice deep breath together as I drop into that heart space, that place where I know as I breathe, and as each and every individual on this call or those who may view this later, as we breathe, it is simply the beloved breathing itself in and through and as each heart, fully available right here, right now. I know this presence as the beloved as well. I know it as the infinite intelligence and wisdom. I know it as life eternal. I know it as love, and I know that it is the source of all things, invisible, the invisible to the visible. I know there's power and presence, the source of all that creates out of itself every minute, every second of every day, never diminished by its creation. How beautiful how beautiful and amazing it is to know this truth, and that love has birthed us all. It is this truth that I know as the source that I know as myself. It is the truth of me, and it is the truth of all. That each and every being on this planet and far beyond in this universe is that same creation as the one source of all. So I know that right here and right now, I speak my word, and my word is love. My word is love, knowing that love prevails and that love is always the answer. As we move from the individual to the collective, from the me to we in our organization, I know right here and right now that it unfolds beautifully and magnificently in the order it was designed to unfold, for there is nothing but order. Even though there may be chaos, at the center there is always order. And so I know that all unfolds through that order, and that order looks like love, uplifting, expanding, knowing that the essence of the one is truly moving and breathing as this organization, individually and collectively. I'm so grateful to know this truth, to speak my word, so grateful to be invited on this call, so grateful to know that life itself is showing up in joy, in rebirth, over and over again, standing in the power of that oneness and love and joy and so much more. How grateful I am to know this truth, to stand in the power. As I release my word into the perfect universal law, knowing that the law always responds with yes, 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 yes. Yes, the place that I lovingly call grace, as we all say together. And so it
And
is.
so it is. Let's take a deep breath. Breathe that in. And I will close out with a quote by our own community spiritual leader. We are all spiritual leaders, and we must be able to articulate our vision and keep it alive through our faith in it. And we must create a sense of belonging and hope this vision transforms our world. Thank you so much for being here. We love and bless you.
Peace and blessings, my friend.
Thanks for the technical support, Sheena and Vance and Steve, and blessings to everyone who joined in. Bye for now. We'll see you next month on LifeLine.
Thank you, Ron. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Good to see you, Sheena.
Thank you, Sheena.
Thank